episode 3 of the A&B Guitar Show. I'm Anthony.
I'm Brett.
And we have a guest, Andy Von Wing, from Black Diamond Custom Guitars.
Guys?
Good, how are you?
Woo! Doing great. Loading caffeine again.
Yeah, it's time to recharge.
Yeah, it is.
I don't get much sleep these days.
No?
Now, I've been rehearsing for an outlaw country band. He's fairly well known. Good friends with Billy Joe Shaver, and Willie Nelson, just to name a few. And we've got some shows coming up on the West Coast, out by Las Vegas area. We're going to be doing Lake Havasu. It's a huge gig. It's a tribute and a thanks to the police officers that protect us. It's going to be like 30 or 40,000 people there. It's going to be just huge. And we're going to co-headline, I'm pretty sure right now, with Gretchen Wilson,
Nice.
another country star. But it hasn't been locked completely down. And then we're going to go to the accounting car guy, Danny. We're going to go to his bar, Vamps, and play a show there and hang out with the guys from Pawn Stars. He's really good friends with those guys. The name of the band is Jackson Taylor and the Sinners. So you might want to check them out. It's some pretty good music, man.
Nice.
I'll look into that.
Look into it, for sure.
Yeah. I've been doing things with Blackfoot. Two of the original members of Blackfoot. And then, the COVID thing hit.
Right.
And everything kind of fell apart. The record deal, everything did. So kind of like starting new again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw Mike was showing me pictures from was that the Rock Legends cruise? It was one of the cruises you went out on.
Yeah, it was the Rock Legends with Roger Daltrey from The Who, Robbie Krieger from The Doors, Elvin Bishop, UFO, all kinds of Atlanta rhythm section.
Nice.
And the cool thing about it was being an artist, we're all, what would you say, sequestered. We have our own bars or our own eating places, like our dining rooms and stuff. So I'm literally sitting elbow to elbow with Sebastian Bach for 2 or 3 meals when I was there. Having a conversation with him, with Elvin Bishop, with the singer from UFO and the guitar player. It was a pretty cool experience. The only thing though was the wind. It was an unusual cold snap, and it was cold. I mean, it was cold. And the wind was blowing so hard up on top of the deck that it was literally blowing chairs off the upper deck onto the stage towards us. So we had to keep looking around to make sure we didn't get hit.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. And the stage was actually moving back and forth to the left and the right, and they had to get more straps to tie the trusses down to keep them from falling over.
Oh my God.
So it was kind of stressful because, the first show, once you get on the ship, all the guys from the production company, they handle all your equipment. So you don't touch anything.
Wow.
And it's labeled where it needs to go.
Okay.
Well, first show I get there, I don't see my amp.
Huh.
I went all the way to Austin, Texas, drove a couple days before this to get my amp from Lee Jackson. He's a good personal friend of mine. And he built me this custom amp. So I said, since you're endorsing me, I'm going to lug this thing on board the ship so I can show Gary Ho and all these other guys your new amplifier line and stuff. Well, I get to stage, my amp's not there. My gear's not there. I'm like, where's my stuff? And they're like, what do you mean? And I just about had a freaking stroke. So 30 minutes before we went on, I literally ran the length of the ship twice. And I found it. It was with Head East gear. They're good friends of mine too. But for some reason, it got confused with their stuff, and they stowed it all with Head East. So it was a lot of stress. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of stress.
I saw you'd taken one of the Phoenixes, the blue Phoenix. And
oh yeah,
was it an
one
old?
of my favorite guitars.
Was a Les Paul, right? You took a couple.
Yeah, I brought
Oh,
that.
there it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's
This is
the
one
one.
of my favorite guitars.
That's the relic back, right? It's got a relic back and neck, kind of.
Yeah,
Nice.
it sure does. It's got that sticker on it since Beverly Hills originally. I figured I'd represent the hood. And, heck yeah, I know. But Mike did an incredible job on this, and I love his guitars because, and you guys know, you're musicians.
Yep.
You can tell when someone really puts love into something they build and craft. You can tell.
For sure.
With his stuff, I immediately connected with it, and that's kind of rare for me. I'm a guitar collector, so I rarely buy anything off the web unplayed.
Right.
But something about Mike, because I got that first guitar from him that he calls it the Tri-Explorer. I call it Merlin because it's so magical.
Right.
But I was hooked. I was immediately hooked from the day one with that. So I'm like, I got to have another one, and I got to have another one. And I'm hooked on his guitars. They're just that good. They're solid. It's quality wood, quality materials. It's a ultra professional instrument.
That's how it started with me. I wanted to build a guitar, and I had seen his work on eBay. I'm like, oh, he's close. Okay, so we're looking, and I found his truck. Not creepy at all, right? I see the truck sitting out in the driveway, and I just stopped in. I'm like, hey, you're the guy who builds these guitars on eBay. And he's like, yeah. And we get talking. I said, I want to build something, but I don't know how to do this yet. And he charged me $20 to route a body for me. And then when I went to pick it up, he had said, okay, I paid him. I'm like, thanks. He's like, nope, not yet. I said, what do you mean not yet? He says, I'm going to teach you how to do this quick before you leave so you know how to do it again. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So since then, I've kind of been apprenticing under him for the past few years. I have 3 of his guitars now. Brett just bought one of his basses.
Yeah. Finally bought the cane.
They're great guitars.
They are.
Everybody that's played them loves them. I let Gary Hoey pick it up and jam with it. Vinnie from UFO.
Nice.
He fooled around with it too, and he loved it as well. Yeah, and you know the cool thing about this guitar is it was in cartage on the ship, okay, and it was in the back of my car for 2,000 miles all the way to Florida after rehearsals and all that stuff. And when I got it out of the case to play it and to tune it, it was still in tune.
Nice.
And that kind of thing doesn't happen with other guitars, but for some reason with Mike's it does. That's kind of weird, but
yeah,
it's true.
Very rarely do I have to tune the 3 of mine. I don't know, how about the bass?
I forget to tune it, honestly. Anthony, like, because you won't have to touch it. You'll just be like, ooh, all right, good to go.
Well, they're just such great guitars. You know, the Carina that he uses, he can get it because he's a small independent builder, but big companies like Gibson, if they get something of this quality, the price of that guitar is going to be jacked through the roof.
For sure.
And, yeah, and Mike is still super reasonable for what he creates.
Oh, yeah.
So many hours go into
and
it.
they'll last forever. I'm so crazy about this guitar, the Phoenix, because I like RDs, the Gibson RDs. I've got one right here. This one belonged to Phil Campbell from Motorhead. And,
nice.
Yeah, I was able to make a deal on this from an estate sale in New York. And I didn't play it. I bought it sight unseen. It was super expensive, but, you know, Phil owned it, so it comes with papers, all that good stuff. And I wanted some rock memorabilia. So, but, you know, I've always been crazy about the RD. And when I saw that Mike made an RD, I'm like, I got to check this out, man. I got to have one. And so I put a 1/2 carat diamond right here.
Nice.
So, you know, truly is now a black diamond.
Cool.
Yeah. Sorry if I talk too much. I've got caffeine in me.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh, that's okay. That's the name of the game.
So we usually go through the first 2 episodes of Guitar Talk. We kind of went over our influences. Me being heavily influenced with Motley Crue, because that's what I grew up listening to. Brett went over some Sabbath.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Episode 2 was Ozzy solo album, so Randy Rhoads for both of us. If you want to talk a little bit about your influences?
Sure. My influences. First on, really, when I was really young, there was this TV show on. It was on Saturday nights in L.A. It was a music show. I can't remember what it was because I was so young. But it was B.B. King, and he was cutting heads with Joe Perry from Aerosmith. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like 7 years old, something like that. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. And then I discovered Hendrix, of course, because all the other guys were listening to Hendrix. And right along with Hendrix was Richie Blackmore, you know, the Machine Head album.
Right.
It was really hot. And so those are some of my biggest, earliest influences. And then, you know, when I came upon Eddie Van Halen, Edward, I was like, what the hell is he playing? Is he playing a keyboard hooked up to a guitar? Or, you know, we're all looking at ourselves, because this is back in the days now when we had, this is telling how old I am, 8-track cassettes.
Okay.
And you had to take a mat, and you'd fold the match cover up and stick it in there so it's play right. It was a piece of junk. Those things were terrible. But we'd sit there in the car and just look at each other going, what's he doing, you know? And then one time, we lived about a half an hour to 45 minutes away from the Whiskey A Go-Go. And so me and some friends and us, I was like 12, 13 years old. This was right at the height when it was all just busting loose. And I thought that I would sneak in through the loading door of the backstage area. And I just thought, well, if I just sneak in and act like I own the place, nobody's going to say anything. Nice. And they pretty much snagged me from the get-go and tossed me out the front door. It was a Van Halen concert. I was like, I'm going to go see this guy for sure, you know, myself personally. And I ended up getting thrown out on my ass, so it is what it is. But, you know, Van Halen, of course, because Van Halen, his style is so physical, you know. It is. And he always comes from way out of left field, but he ends up making sense through it all. It's just, I like his style. It's just like what he said about Page, you know, falling down the steps and landing on his feet. That's exactly how Eddie Van Halen is. Exactly. And if you learn his solos, you kind of understand what he's saying, because some of his phrases is just straight out of the blues textbook. But then he adds something to it, and then he's got that physicality, that fire, you know, and that's what really caught me. You know, of course, there was like some of the country artists too, like Roy Clark. From early on, Roy Clark was just a monster player, and I could never understand how those fat sausage fingers would move so fast like he did. And I was like, this can't be happening, you know?
Right.
So was country pickers like Barry Reed. It was, you know, banjo pickers. When I was a kid, I learned how to play banjo really well, which I'm relearning right now, by the way.
Nice.
And not so easy these days.
No, it's not. I haven't. Should pull mine out.
Yeah, no, it's not. But I've had this banjo forever, and you know, one day I just said, yeah, I got to relearn this, because I love the way it sounds. I love picking around on it, and some of that old bluegrass stuff that I used to do was a lot of fun. And,
yeah.
But so one of my biggest influences, I think of all time too, besides Van Halen, would be Michael Schacker.
Nice.
Michael
Yeah.
Schacker, without
Nice.
a doubt.
Love to hear that.
Oh yeah, well, you know, Michael, he has this classical element that he brings into the blues arena, so to speak. And when he breaks out of one of those bluesy licks, then it's like he soars like an eagle. He just gets these really cool melodic phrases. It's his phrasing, and it's so unusual to me, you know, that he influenced a lot of guys. Like, you know, I know he influenced Malmsteen, and who's that other, John Norum. He really influenced John Norum too in that area. You can tell just by the way they play him, some of the things they do come up with. So those are some of my biggest influences.
Nice.
Those are really cool.
For sure. I should break my banjo out. I haven't done. We did on the TikTok channel. We did a bluegrass jukebox, and people seem to like it, but I haven't had the banjo out since. But should probably get that out.
It's gonna be a weird instrument week. I need
It
to
is.
get the Rhodes out this week. I haven't done anything with it in a while.
Have you ever heard Steve Martin play banjo?
Oh my God, yes. Steve Martin's.
Wow.
As good of an actor as he is, he's that good, if not better, of a banjo player.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Steve Martin's excellent.
I couldn't believe it. He's won several championships. being a banjo player, and he keeps his banjos not too far away from where I live, at a friend's house.
Nice.
And because he plays with Emmylou Harris.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know why he stores them there, but he does.
Huh.
But he won't let me go over there and mess with them, though. You know, it's all limits.
Should we see if it'll come through if you want to play a little? Are you plugged in? Or...
Oh, no, I'm not plugged in. All
Okay.
my stuff is in the other room.
Oh, no
No,
worries
don't worry
then.
about it.
I got a gig September 5th. It's about 2.5 hours away from here with that country outlaw band. And so I've got everything packed up, ready to go, so I could just, get in and go and haul ass. I'm using a matchless amp
Nice.
with a custom-made Incan 212 cabinet with greenback selections in them.
Nice.
Let us know
It
if you're ever in
sounds
the
amazing,
Northeast. I'll go see some outlaw
There's
country.
something about a matchless sound.
Oh.
I've never got to play a matchless. They're more
Oh.
kind of like AC30-ish territory, or...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. And it's just, for blues, country, and classic rock, it's amazing. Totally amazing. I got compliments on it. The first night I used it live, all these guys waited till after the show to come check out the amp. I mean, they loved it that much.
Nice.
It just has a tone it reminds me of that steel string singer, that real expensive amp. It's on par with that.
Okay.
Completely. I played one of those, the Dumble, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that amp's like $22,000 or something.
Yeah, it's
Some
ridiculous.
crazy price. But the Matchless, though, these are from the Samson era. They're classics. They're highly sought after from the Samson era, so they make it's more collectible, I guess.
Okay.
And I got them from my buddy, my best friend, Mitch Malloy. He sings with the Great White right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was moving from Nashville to Florida, and his studio space was much smaller, so he had to condense a lot of stuff. So he called me up and he's like, "Hey, just want to buy some amps and a guitar from me," because I've been bugging him about it. The Anderson Cobra Telly for years.
Mm-hmm.
We recorded an album together in Nashville with him and Peter Green from Kenny Chesney's band and a few other guys.
Nice.
And I told him, I said, "I love this guitar. I want this guitar. I will have this guitar one day." So I ended up with the guitar and 3 amplifiers, custom-made amplifiers. So I'm happy.
Nice. Maybe that's a tone we should look into.
Yeah.
Because right now we have Friedman and we have Marshall. We don't really have anything kind of a little more open sounding, a little more chimey. Probably be something good. Different tonal palette to play through.
Oh, the Matchless is just incredible. You'll love it. But you got a Friedman and a Marshall. That's darn good right there too.
Yeah.
That's tops.
Yeah.
Tops in my book.
We think so.
It gets loud. This room is little, and it gets loud in here.
I like the triple super lead.
Yeah, the Marshall we're running, it's a triple super lead that I picked up off of Facebook Marketplace relatively cheap. And I was reading,
Really?
Guys were like, the reviews are 50-50. You kind of either love them or you hate them. But I don't know. I get the volumes up pretty good. What are we sitting at? 2? Which is pretty loud for 100 watts in this room, but I have external master volume coming that just runs in the effects loop between the preamp and power amp. So that way I can bring the channel volumes up and then drop the overall volume back down. So I think it almost seems like it's one of those amps where once you get it loud enough and it starts to open up and the power section starts to work, then it shines.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, "Oh, it's bright and brittle." And I'm like, "Well, it's EQ'd a little bit different. I just have the treble turned off and the mids goosed all the way up."
Yeah.
And it sounds...
You get them out and open, like my amplifiers. I got my vintage Super Lead 100 watt from this old guy, and he hadn't played it a whole lot over the years, and I paid like $1,200 for it.
Oh my god.
With the cabinet. With the cabinet, dude.
That's awesome.
And, I mean, I'm like running out to the car, like, start the car, and thing with it. It didn't have the master volume. It had a master volume installed in it.
Okay.
The loudest friggin' amplifier besides its Metaltronics. I mean, when I got it home, I dimed it because I dime all my amps.
Right.
Everything goes up completely, so it just lets those valves open up completely. And dude, it roared so terrifyingly loud that stuff was rattling off the shelves.
Oh
and
my
amps
God.
looked like they just had a stroke. You know?
Wow.
And I almost shit a brick. It was that loud. I was like, holy crap, you know? But you should try. Hopefully one day I'll get to see you guys.
Yeah.
And you can try that Metaltronics amp out. That Metaltronics amp is, oh my God, man. It's just a beast. When I got it on stage the first time, I dimed it and I cranked it up to about 3 or 4, and that's all that Charlie, sitting next to me, Charlie, the original guitar player for Blackfoot, that's all he could take.
Oh my
He's
God.
like, God damn, dude. Sorry for my language. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
That's okay.
It's not PG.
But he's like, you're gonna kill me with that thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point, you know. It's rock and roll. It's
That's
gonna
awesome.
slap the back of your legs.
Yeah,
If you feel it thumping the back of your legs, you know you got it up loud enough, you know.
Yeah.
for sure. Oh yeah.
Like my 210,
Yeah.
the bass amp.
Oh my God.
Just eighth notes feel like you have like a fan on or something.
Isn't it great?
It's awesome.
It's a great
It's rock and
feeling.
roll. It's killer. You know, and Lee Jackson, he modded a lot of those amplifiers, all of those, the biggest, for all the rock guys of the 80s. He was telling me a story where George Lynch would literally find out what club he was in, and he would come hassle him with a stack of cash to redo his amplifier, his Marshall head for him.
That's
And,
awesome.
yeah, it's funny. He told me all kinds, and regardless of what Edward Van Halen says, Lee worked on his amp too.
Yeah.
So that's a little secret between those guys.
Nice.
But he did. And as far as music stuff too, well, you know, the whole Zach Wild thing,
Right.
electronic amps that he used on tour, and he actually did use those on, I think it was No Rest for the Wicked, because he co-produced 2 of their albums.
Okay.
And he says that he went back to Marshall for the recordings in a Guitar Player magazine article, but Lee hotly disputes that because Lee was there during the whole thing. So
Gotcha.
just let that go. You know? Yeah. But, you know, you guys, just like me, we love tube amps.
Oh, yeah.
Tube gearhead. And when I did the album with Mitch in Nashville, we used Kempers, and I don't know, man, it just didn't have that organic feel to me. They sound good, but it just doesn't have that organic feel, and I'm not a tech head, you know, computers where I can just look over and beep, 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 beep. I like to look at the amp and go, okay, I need to turn this up or turn that down. It's
Right.
simple, you know.
I'm the
Meat and
same
potatoes.
same way. I tried a Kemper at my buddy's studio, and it sounded really good, but it's just, you're right, it's not the same. It's just not the same. Something missing, and I can't pinpoint what, but something's just not there. Because he sold both his Kempers, and he's back to running real tube amps in the studios again.
See?
Yep.
A lot of guys are doing that now, too. You know, because they sound, and this is what Lee was telling me, too. We kind of agree. They're kind of like a fax copy, a photocopy of the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it looks good, but it's not really. There's something like your musical senses say, this isn't quite the right thing. It's almost like a really nice looking blow up doll and the real thing on a date, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good analogy, but you know, we'll go with it. Yeah.
What do you think? Should we sign off? We usually try to go about 10-15 minutes with
What
these.
time is it?
I have no idea. I got lost in the stories.
We've been chatting for a while.
It's like Dave.
Story time is the best.
Yes, it is.
From the guys that were doing it.
Oh, dudes, check this out. Billy Gibbons, ZZ Top,
Uh-huh.
it's one of his picks. Let me see if I...
Oh, wait
Oh,
till Greg
nice.
sees that.
Oh my god. Is that one of his... It's like a peso, right? That he grinds down?
Yeah, I've got 2 of them.
Nice.
That's really cool.
That is cool.
Greg would give his left
He
nut
was-
for one of those.
There was a custom hot rod shop about a couple hours south of where I'm at here in Harrisonville, Missouri. Was doing some work for his cars and got the opportunity to see him and talk to him and stuff. And I talked him out of a few of those picks. he had with him, and because I think he's the shit. I mean, as far as blues, Texas kind of rock and roll goes, you can't beat him, man.
No, you
Just
can't.
can't beat it. Yeah. And how he found that Les Paul, that 50s Les Paul, is just beyond cool. Because there was literally a race by him, and I think it was Neil Young, to get to that old farmer's house to buy that Les Paul.
That's awesome.
And Billy Gibbons beat him to the draw is basically what it was.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
All right. You ready to sign off for the night? Thank you, Andy.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
And Black Diamond.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you guys take care, man.
Yeah, you